Hey everybody, we spent a lot of time on the road this summer, going from camps and events to even the World Scout Jamboree, and we learned a ton of things this summer about branding and about how you all are using brands, about how camps and areas within the country are using brands. We saw some great brands and we saw some brands that just really broke my heart looking at these kids' cups over what had happened to them. So hopefully we're going to give you a little bit more of an in-depth look at some branding tips, what we can do as camps and as the camp culture and promoting that branding culture to make branding a real positive experience for the youth that you're working with. I'm going to go over branding cups, belts, wood pieces. In a 10-day span this summer, 4 of us branded about 14,000 pieces. I know that seems like a lot, but it was a lot. I mean, we had a line that was about an hour deep all the time, and we branded everything from mugs, belt to hats, which is, we could do a whole video just on hats, retainer case, a Tupperware lid, a hot pocket, I mean, wallets. We branded everything that you could think of, sans living people or items. So hopefully we gained a little knowledge this summer that we can share with you and that will help make your branding program more successful. So one of the first things that I want to talk about is temperature control. That's probably the most important aspect of branding and having your branding station at your camp or your event is temperature control. Don't run your brands too hot. Everything that you brand is going to take a little bit different temperature to actually brand. If you're branding mugs, obviously it's plastic. Your temperature doesn't have to be like red hot. And I say that because I've seen mugs that were branded with a red hot branding iron. And what it does is it discolors the plastic and it just runs down the side. And that's probably not that big of a deal on a mug that I'm just using to play around with. But if it's a kid's mug that he's been bringing to camp for years and years, and you just melted one brand down into the top of another one, come on, you guys, we got to do better than that. Temperature control is the most important thing that we're going to talk about. So I also want to talk about getting your branding areas set up right. So as you can see, I've got 2 brands in the fire. I've got all the rest of my brands laying out on the table, or if they're hot, I'll keep them hanging in an area close by where I can use them. One of the things that helps, I've got all my letters in the tool roll right now. If I was branding them, I would leave them hanging up, or I might even have a board with all the letters and hooks on them set up to just hang them on so I could get them quickly. So I've got a few things out here to talk about today with branding and especially temperature control. One is I've got wood plaques or wood blocks, and these aren't my test blocks. These are like little placards that somebody might bring you to have the event brand put on. They might want to stain them or put a coat of polyurethane afterwards to have a little memento to hang up. I've also got a belt. Everything that I've got here, from belts to cups to plaques, they all take a different amount of heat from the brand. I'm going to say your wood, any wood item is going to take the most heat, and that's where you're going to want to have your brand pretty hot, and belts are going to be kind of in the middle. Now softer leather takes less heat, a stiffer, harder, more coarse leather takes more heat. Belts with more tooling, those get complicated. So one good piece of advice, brand your own stuff. Take your belt and brand it. If you're selling belts, get a belt from the trading post and get it branded and use it as a display item. But you can also brand the inside of a belt before you start branding on the outside. Insides are very consistent, and if you mess up, it's inside anyways, so the only person that's gonna know is you and the belt owner. Today, I am gonna put some brands on that belt, so gonna get the B and the K heating up. I've got my safety apron on. I know we make a big deal about safety. I do have gloves in my back pocket. My irons are cold. I don't wear gloves all the time. I do recommend gloves, especially as you're starting out on round items. It's a good piece of safety equipment. I'm gonna take my test mug here and check out my steel brand. And as you can see, that was perfect. So my brand's not red hot, it's just chilling in the fire. Just above. I can move it in and out of the flame on my bar here if I need to. When I'm keeping my brands, I have two positions in this brand heater. I can keep them in the fire or I can keep them near the fire. If I know that I'm hot, I don't have to get a brand down in the fire all the time. What it's gonna do is it's gonna get red hot, which is gonna make it real slippery on plastic, and it's gonna make it super hot. Now, there will be times that I'll need to turn the fire up to run some things, and so I'll move several brands around whenever I do that. But I just branded with this one. I'm gonna set it up here, keep it near the fire but not in the fire, and I am gonna move my brass brand down into the fire to get it hot for a piece of wood. So one of the best things you can do for temperature management is just keep some extra blocks of wood laying around. So what I'll do is I'll take a brand. I know this brand's been in the fire. I know it's hot, but I can give it a test. So definitely if you're catching wood on fire, it's too hot for a mug. So I can steam that off a lot. Maybe even again. I can hit it with a steel brush if I have one handy, but I'm still gonna be more than hot enough to roll right into a mug. The other good thing is when you're not super hot, you can go right back on top of another letter pretty easily. Likewise with this letter, I want to check it. It's pretty warm. So, sweet. The other thing that having these blocks of wood around sets you up for is to have an area where you can set something on that gives you a real firm backing. So I can take this minute and I'm right there on a leather belt. So boom, boom, boom. It's all temperature control. So now I'm branding a brass brand on this little wood plaque. Now I've got this brand pretty hot. If you get brass brands red hot, they will fall apart. So you want to be cautious of that. Easy peasy. In closing, I know this turned into just kind of a temperature control video, but that is the most important piece of running a successful branding program. Go ahead and refer back to our other videos on steel branding and brass branding, and we are going to come at you with some more branding videos this fall in preparation for the season. Have a great day, keep on exploring, keep on having fun.